Friends, let me start by sharing a story about Einstein and his driver. Einstein traveled to many places to deliver lectures, and his driver was very interested in learning. So whenever Einstein went to deliver a lecture, the driver would sit at the back of the lecture theatre, listening very, very intensely to what Einstein had lectured upon. Now, after having attended so many such lectures, the driver became an expert, right? So he told Einstein, why don't we swap places for our next lecture? And after much persuasion, Einstein agreed. So they went to the lecture. The driver took up Einstein's place and started reading his notes, and Einstein started driving the driver to the lecture theatre. And the driver stood up to give the talk. Einstein went to sit at the back, and the driver delivered a fantastic lecture, word perfect, with a standing ovation. So as the driver was about to come down, somebody from the audience asked the driver, "Can you tell me a little bit more about the theory of relativity?" And the driver said, "My dear, why do you ask such a simple question? It's such a simple question that even my driver at the back can answer." Whereupon he asked Einstein to stand up and answer. So the moral of the story is, if one day you are going to go on the witness stand as an expert witness, and the lawyer who's on the opposing side starts to cross-examine you and box you in and trying to make you sound ridiculous, all you have to do is say, "My dear lawyer, why is it that you have to ask me such a simple question?" You turn around, even my lawyer at the back can answer that. Right? So with that, I will start with my topic, what makes a good forensic report. Now, the sources, I have got to identify the sources of my talk, right? Now, the sources are twofold. First, it comes from Form 58 of the Subordinate Courts Practice Directions, which I will email to the Secretariat so that each of you can get a copy. Form 58 is essential if you want to do work for the civil cases. Right? Criminal cases, you don't have to follow Form 58. It's nice to have, but not essential. But if you want to practice, if you want to render opinion that are used in civil cases, Form 58 is absolutely essential. Right? So tonight I'm going to cover some of the areas in Form 58, and then I'm also going to share with you some thoughts on writing reports. Okay. So why do we need to have a good forensic report? Form 58, which is advice to the experts, say if you don't comply with Form 58, your expert evidence will either be discredited or rejected. Is that incentive enough for you to write good forensic reports? I hope so. Right? So I'm going to cover the three areas. What are your duties as expert witnesses, the mandatory requirements in Form 58, and then I'm going to go over a bit about style, how to write reports. Okay, so first, what are your duties as expert witnesses? This comes from Form 58. Okay, duty number one, your primary duty is to court. Alright? And this is something that you have to make sure. I mean, it's not just a motherhood statement. Everybody knows that primary duty is to court. After all the rules of the game that we have to say, "Your Honor," of course, right? But it's more than a motherhood statement. It is actually a tool for you to manage your lawyer if you are engaged by your lawyer. You see, when maybe not so much for a restructured hospital, but if you are practicing in private practice, who are your clients? Your clients are either your patients or lawyers, right? So why do lawyers refer cases to you to give expert opinions? There must be a reason, in the hope that with the use of your expert report, they will bolster their case and they can go to court and say, "You see, my expert says A, B, C, D, E. Therefore, my case is justified." Now, this is a very powerful tool. So if you are in private practice, you receive a brief which you are not comfortable with, you will have to tell the lawyer, I can help you, but you're not doing service to your own client, because at the end of the day, the range is so much. I think if I'm confronted on the stand, it won't be fair to your client, right? So you have to, it's a tool for you to manage. Now, as long as you are able, you're comfortable to say, go on the stand and justify, that's okay, right? Next duty, you have to assist within your expertise. Now, this is also a very interesting area because to us it needs no explanation, right? Of course we know what. We are doctors. Of course we practice within our competence. We practice within our expertise. But if you have a clever expert like Tommy Tan, so of course I get Tommy Tan as my expert, right? And then if I get the government psychiatrist on the other stand, they'll ask, do you have training in forensic psychiatry?
No.
Right, and I'll start going on and on and on and on and on and on. Right? So, these are some of the things that needs to be sorted out, and different judges have different views. In one recent case, in the case of Ong Pang Siu, a public prosecutor against Ong Pang Siu, this was a case where the bus driver strangled the step daughter, and Tommy Tan was expert witness for the defense, and we've got forensic psychiatrists from IMH as witness for the prosecution. And I thought it was a bit unfair, but one of the things which the Court of Appeal highlighted was that Dr. Tommy Tan had appeared both for the prosecution and both for the defense so many times in court in murder cases. And the psychiatrist for IMH, I think this was his first time giving evidence. So I thought that's a bit unfair because we all got to start somewhere, right? Okay.
Sorry, Nicholas, if there is a continuation on that, because it's the first time, you should have been more careful. My point is just that the courts are very, very robust these days, right? Okay, now the next duty, and this is actually in Form 58, I'm not telling you anything new. You should have an unbiased opinion. That means the test is this, what they call the mirror test. If anybody from, apart from anybody else from the government, Nicholas. Okay, Nicholas. Let's say you have been engaged by the prosecution, right, to write a report. Now, after that, you want to make sure that you are unbiased, you ask yourself this question. If you are engaged by Nicholas Cheong, the lawyer for the defense, would you give the same opinion? Right? So that would be your one filter for you to see whether you are biased or not. Okay, next duty. Consider all relevant facts. Right? So this is a duty where you actually have to seize the opposing expert's views, his strongest arguments, and tell the court why you disagree. Right? You cannot blind yourself. I'm not going to care about anything that detracts from my opinion. I'm just going to produce all the literature in my favor. Right? You can do this, but if it's pointed out to you in court, you are doing your client and yourself a disfavor, because that shows that your mind is actually closed, that you have not considered and weighed all factors in consideration before coming to a considered opinion. Okay, so these then are the 4 duties. Let's look at the mandatory requirements. Form 58 says you need to have 7 requirements. Let's look what the 7 requirements are. Right? These are 7 requirements. Okay, let's go to requirement number 1. You state your qualifications. So, you have, this bit is no problem, professional, academic. This part, as I was saying, there could be a bit of a problem, right? Have you got specific training in forensic psychiatry? No, but never mind. You can still fall back. may not